Things keep getting worse for the Sixers. Nothing can ever go to plan with this organization. It's really not fun being a fan. Like watching these games, I despise it. It's so horrible. And you would have thought maybe this year the Sixers would be better. We got rid of a guy that held our offense back and was old, slow, and had an arrogance about himself, and just I hated watching him. And now we got Paul George, who's like an 8-time All-Star, but he's already injured for the second time this season. But when he does play, he chucks up bricks the majority of the games. Yeah, so this is the same team as it's been every year. We don't know how to win. We disappoint every year. We have an MVP player. We don't know how to build around him. We don't know how to bring the best out of him. We still can't find a coach that we actually should be confident in. And don't forget the typical Sixers thing where we sign a player in the offseason after they've had a pretty good season, and they just come here and just suck. They don't know how to play basketball. And tonight we had a bad loss to the Grizzlies, which every single loss we've had this season has been a bad loss, so no difference there. We had our first game with our big three of PG, Embiid, and Maxey, and we lost to the Grizzlies, who had about 8 people on the injury reserves, and they basically needed a disaster draft to happen to have a full lineup. And even with that many people out for the Grizzlies, they still outshoot the Sixers. The Sixers cannot make a three. Jared McCain and Yabusele combined for 8 of our 11 threes, I believe. The Grizzlies hit 19. And dude, they have a shooter everywhere, every position. They just have a random white guy to just play backup and put them in whenever you need them. The Sixers can never do that. I don't know how the Sixers can't put shooters around Embiid, but they simply can't. And when they do, the slight chance of them actually doing it, it's going to be a 6'4", 290-pound George Niang who can't play defense. And speaking of McCain and Yabusele, they were our second and third leading scorers this game behind Embiid. Yabusele had 17 and McCain had 20. But if they're leading our team in scoring, we're most likely probably not going to win that game. Embiid was first, but second and third, we're definitely not going to win that game. Alright, so Yabusele and McCain, second and third leading scorer. Maxey and PG probably weren't too far behind because, they're making a lot of money. They're some great players. They know how to score the ball. You'd be very wrong tonight. Maxey, on his minute restriction he had 19 minutes and 8 points. Paul George did get injured, but he played 17 minutes and had 2 points. And yes, I know Maxey was on a minutes restriction, and I know he was just injured. But at this rate in the season, we can't be settling with excuses. It's win now. We have to win basketball games. We just keep putting ourselves further and further down, and Maxey has not been playing well. He did not play well at all tonight. He has not played well at all this year. Maxey's been chucking this year, and his shot has not been falling. He's been trying to play hero ball a lot this year, and early in the game, he got a lot of shots up, and they were not smart shots. And I mean, I feel the same way with PG. PG kind of, I feel he forces himself into the game. When we signed him in the offseason, a bunch of talk was about how great he'll be in the catch and shoot off Joel, given we haven't seen him and Joel play too much together. But when we got him, he was shooting the highest in the league off catch and shoots, and we expected to see that a lot, but it feels like all he does is pick and roll action or ISO to the mid-range, and it's not falling. I feel like he forces himself into the offense and shoots some poor shots, or at least shots that aren't falling. I think he just needs to get to the basket. But let's not stop there, because they're not the only people missing their shots. Almost every other Sixer is missing their shots. Kelly Oubre, holy crap, he is a brick. So is Caleb Martin. Kyle Lowry, I think the stat was in the past 6 games he made 6 shots. Eric Gordon's horrible. Eric Gordon can barely get open from 3, and if they overplay him, he drives and just gets swatted every single time. And watching them play, when I see the ball get swung to them and they're semi-open, I just hope they don't shoot it. I'm just thinking, please don't shoot. And the last play of that game against the Grizzlies, where Joel throws a turnover, Joel's going to cut, right? He has the ball. He's driving to the basket. Kenyon Martin's already at the block, right? Kenyon's going to be there for the board. Don't know if he'll get it, but he'll be there. There'll be no spacing there. And Kelly's in the corner. Joel's looking to pass it to him, and Kelly cuts. Even Kelly knows he can't shoot. And I mean, that makes you start to think, right? Like last year, Buddy Hield, he didn't play too great for the Sixers. But this year for the Warriors, he's playing pretty great, and we did sign Kelly basically over him. And another player is Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond was horrible, and that makes me so sad because I love Drummond in his first stint as a Sixer. He was great, but there's so many things that he does wrong on the basketball court, He's horrible with the ball. He has no touch around the basket. He can't defend any part of the court. He can't defend the perimeter. He can't defend the interior. He has absolutely no paint presence. He does not deter anybody. He's so slow now too, and he's so weak with the ball. He's lost so much athleticism. I know he's getting older, but that still doesn't excuse him from being an idiot on the court. Like he's like an actual idiot. And Nick Nurse also isn't exempt from being an idiot because the lineups he runs are awful. I remember in the second, he had a lineup which was ran by Paul George and like Andre Drummond, and they let the Grizzlies go on a massive run, which gave them the lead going into halftime. And they were just that lineup was out there for so long without any subs. It was crazy. Like I can't believe that Nick Nurse couldn't call a timeout or make any subs to at least let the Sixers compete because it was just downhill. Everything was so downhill. The plus minus is crazy. Paul George's plus minus is like a -10, and that all came from that second quarter. And I mean, I think this really shows the Sixers' urgency to win. Is if Nick Nurse is still running these type of lineups for that long when they're getting blown out, or it just shows that he's not really a good coach. Because I mean, Nick Nurse really loves to play these guys that have nothing left to give, like Eric Gordon and Reggie Jackson. I don't care how many games Reggie Jackson will score a few buckets in a row. He's still horrible. Because, I mean, we got people like Lester Quinones, who we signed in the offseason as a younger player who's pretty decent. He could give you what Reggie Jackson and Eric Gordon bring you, but you don't even want to give him the chance. Nick Nurse also wanted to run a 2-3 zone on defense against a team that can shoot. And what they do, they found spots, they found pockets, and they shot. They made 19 threes. And what's the weakness of a 2-3 zone? It's rebounding. The Grizzlies came up with 9 offensive rebounds, and we already aren't a good rebounding team. I don't know what type of strategy Nick Nurse has with this stuff, or maybe he just thinks our man defense is that awful, which maybe it's a personnel issue, and which is crazy that we might need to make a trade already this season. But I'd be so down for a trade. Get all these players that Nick Nurse loves. Get Reggie Jackson, Kyle Lowry, Eric Gordon. Get them all out of here. Send them over to China. We do not want them. I do not care. Get fresh legs. Get younger players that actually know how to play basketball and can actually provide something for this team and are very unselfish. You can say I'm a hater. You can say I'm not a real fan. I'm very pessimistic right now because there's no light at the end of this tunnel because of how bad they've been playing. And I want the Sixers to prove me wrong. Please, I beg you to prove me wrong. I want them to be good. I don't want them to suck. That's all I got, man. I just want to see them win, though. I just really want to see them win. Leave a like, guys, if you like the content. Subscribe too. If you do that, that'd be cool.